Rodrigo Duterte, the very controversial leader of the government of the Philippines, he has been making a lot of really strange statements as of late, ones that are definitely along an anti-imperialist line. Duterte has said that he's going to consider shifting his orientation away from the United States and towards China and Russia. And he suggested that the Filipino military begin purchasing weapons from Russia as opposed to the United States. Now, he's giving out a very strong anti-imperialist vibe. He's giving the United States the finger, literally. He's calling people who work for the U.S. government gay. He's pushing a very anti-U.S. line. Now, a lot of people seem to be under the impression that somehow he's kind of revolutionary, or that he's really even a good thing for the Philippines, and they're usually just doing so because the now revisionist and sellout Communist Party of the Philippines is backing him. But I think there's something very important that needs to be kept in mind here. There's one important question. Now, this anti-imperialist rhetoric coming from Duterte, either it's complete fluff, like he's just bluffing in order to try to get a better deal for the Philippines as essentially what is the imperialist domination by the United States. Either he's saying all this to try to scare the U.S. into giving him a better deal, or he's actually serious and he really is trying to push an anti-imperialist line. I think it's very important to make that distinction. If he's just doing it to get a better deal for the United States, then obviously nothing's really going to change, and all of this is just complete bluster on his part, bluffing to try to make it look like he might switch over to the other side in order to get a better deal. But if he is looking to go over to the other side, then this is at least a positive step from a very controversial man who is frankly horribly and outright evil towards poor people. He's taking the measures of killing drug addicts. This big war on drugs that he's talking about, killing the drug dealers and whatnot, is largely nonsense. There are drug dealers being killed, but the vast majority of people that are being killed, and most of them by vigilantes, are just regular drug addicts. There have been stories of men who have been killed in barrios, the shanty towns in the Philippines, barangays, just for walking around with no shirt on. And even things too ridiculous of like that. He's inspiring a great deal of violence, essentially against a lot of people for simply being drug addicts. And how can we say the demonization and murder of the poor is somehow socialist? It's absolutely ridiculous. But the Communist Party of the Philippines is right along with it. But it's important to understand how politics in the Philippines actually works. For example, there's very little in terms of actual parties. They don't really do political parties in the Philippines. The one exception is the Communist Party of the Philippines, who does have some people in government through front groups. Mostly, it's done by individual personalities that have a loose association. That's why you can have some people on the same side or within the same loose association running against each other. So really, it's very personality-based, which certainly explains the power that Rodrigo Duterte has managed to build up. But it's interesting how he's making these maneuvers and how he really needs the Communist Party of the Philippines, as reactionary as it is, on his side. Because there's a few major power players within Filipino politics. That's himself, the liberals, and the nationalists. Now, the nationalists have always been very iffy towards the United States, very iffy towards U.S. imperialism. Now, this anti-imperialist rhetoric plays right into the hands of the nationalists, and that's very important for them. Now, the only opposition he really faces is with the liberals, because they tend to look down on you murdering poor people. So he still needs some kind of a power base. And the one thing that the Communist Party of the Philippines, despite the fact that it has very little in terms of people actually inside the government, is they have an ability to create mass rallies. And they have an ability to create social unrest, big protests, etc. So that's kind of why he's keeping them on their side. And it would be kind of a positive thing if he was being genuinely anti-imperialist. Now, no doubt the Communist Party of the Philippines is still a bunch of sellouts, and they are abandoning revolution for reforms. But what they may be doing here was supporting Duterte in an anti-imperialist position is still a positive, if his anti-imperialist rhetoric is real, and it's not just a bluff to get a better deal for the country. So, as you can see, it's complicated in Philippine politics, exactly what's going on right now. You have a very old kind of stale system, and then you have Duterte, who's just been thrown into the mix and is just tearing everything up and completely mixing up everything and upsetting the established order that's been there for quite a long time. But I think these are the points that really need to be kept in mind when questioning whether or not there is a progressive, at least to some degree, progressive path coming out of Duterte, given his relationship with the rest of the Philippines and his recent anti-imperialist rhetoric. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.